Welcome to Miles Ahead, the Canadian Points Podcast, brought to you by FrugalFlyer.ca, where we talk about all things miles and points, a hobby that allows us to travel all over the world in style and on a budget. As per usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Josh and Jeff.
Thanks for having us, Danny.
Yep, happy to be here again.
And today, we're going to be discussing Marriott Bonvoy, the hotel loyalty program that we all love to complain about. But they're also the only hotel loyalty program that loves us enough to have not one, but two co-branded credit cards in Canada. We're going to discuss where the program sits as of March 2026 and where we can see the program going in the future. So the first thing, or the first bridge to cover, is why are we talking about Marriott Bonvoy right now? And the first thing being that there's some huge welcome offers that are on in Canada. Jeff, what do we have for a personal offer, and is it an all-time high?
Yeah, so the personal offer right now is 110,000 Marriott Bonvoy points after spending $6,000 in 6 months, which will unlock the first portion of the welcome bonus where you earn 80,000 points. And then you need to make an additional purchase in month 15 for 30,000 more Marriott Bonvoy points, which brings us to 110,000. This matches an all-time high welcome bonus offer on this card. We've seen this a couple times. I think in 2024, we saw the 110,000 point welcome offer. I don't know if the spend was exactly the same. I think it might have been a bit more. But either way, it's about as good as we're going to get for this card. So yeah, good offer right now.
All right, but that's not the only huge welcome offer that we have. Josh, there's also a business offer. What is the deal there, and is it an all-time high?
So very similar to the personal card. So it is 110,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. There is an increased spend requirement. So you do need to spend $10,000 in 6 months to unlock the 80,000 points. And then similarly, you need that purchase needed a purchase needs to be made in month 15 for that additional 30,000 Bonvoy points. This, however, is not an all-time high. It's still a great offer, but we have seen a 130,000 Marriott Bonvoy point offer in 2024 and 2025. But the caveat is that offer did require much more spend. So from a achievability standpoint, this is maybe a better offer. And I think both of them are completely reasonable and a great way to build a Bonvoy points balance. And you still have about, a couple weeks to apply for them as the offer ends on April 7th.
Yeah, I think the only negative thing about this offer is that many of us who are already deep into the points and miles game already have these cards, so we can't get the offer, which is kind of bittersweet. Yes. The general consensus of the Marriott Bonvoy cards is that you're usually better off getting them sooner rather than later. And while Marriott Bonvoy points are certainly not as valuable as American Express membership awards or anything else that's out there and available, you get to start the clock on the free night certificates a little bit sooner. So basically every anniversary year, so not your first year, but every anniversary year, you get a $35,000 free night certificate. And the sooner that you can get those rolling in, obviously the sooner that you can use them and start to maximize them. So if you're just getting started in miles and points and you're curious about Marriott Bonvoy, but you hear us complain about them all the time, this is why we're doing an episode on it, because they are definitely worth taking advantage of if you don't have the cards. And there is still a lot of good to Marriott Bonvoy. But there's also another reason why we're talking about Marriott Bonvoy right now, and that's because they have a new and somewhat controversial global promotion. So, Jeff, please tell us what that promotion is this year in comparison to years past.
Yeah, so the new Bonvoy promotion that's underway currently is one elite night per brand and 2,500 points per stay. So now what that means is that you will only earn one elite night per brand stayed, regardless of the length of stay. In previous years, you would earn one elite night for every night that you stayed. So it's a big step down. It's still possible to earn a decent amount of nights with this because there's over 30 Marriott brands. So if you're willing to hop around to a bunch of different Marriott brands, you can still, do pretty well with this promotion. But unlike what we've come to expect in previous years, where you earn an almost unlimited amount of bonus elite nights. It's too bad, but it's what we got.
When it shifts the mindset a bit, right? Because with this promo, you're more encouraged to do one night stays because, you know, you want the different brands. Whereas with the other promo, who cares how many nights you did, right? It was the earnings were seemingly unlimited. So it's adjusted kind of my expectations and my plans for this promo. And it's not as easy of a path as it was to elite status in years past. Still pretty good, but not as lucrative to where you could, you know, book super cheap mattress runs with various promotions, which we'll talk about next here, and just stack up elite qualifying nights left, right, and center. So it's not a surprising change, but it still stings.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning that you do have to register for this promotion. So you do need to go into the Marriott app or log into your Marriott desktop and log in and register for it. And then it's also only for paid stays. So if you have stayed at a brand before using a free night certificate or using a points in cash stay or using just points, that brand is still, quote unquote, unlockable through this promotion by doing a cash stay. So just because you've stayed with points does not exclude you from earning a bonus elite night and an extra 2,500 points on that stay. Now, to maximize this promo, as we've mentioned, does take a little bit of creative thinking, per se. So one of the easiest things that you could do is hotel hop in a major city with a large number of Marriott properties. So if you happen to be in Toronto, and, well, downtown Toronto in particular has very expensive hotels, but if you go outside of the downtown core, head up some Town Place suites, maybe a Fairfield, maybe a Courtyard that's somewhere around there, you can probably gain some elite nights fairly quickly. And it could be worth investing a few dollars into this, because if you're, you know, on the edge of hitting 50 nights or 75 nights, remember that 75 nights with Marriott Bonvoy not only comes with an extra 40K free night cert that's probably worth $250 to $400, but you also get Air Canada Aeroplan 25K status, which, depending on how you plan on maximizing e-upgrades, or if you're accumulating a lot of SQC through credit card spend, that could get you a priority reward. I mean, there's so much to hop into it with. But in a metropolitan city isn't the only way that you might be able to maximize. Jeff, maybe if you're in a resort area or something like that, you could maximize doing something similar.
Yeah, so the place that kind of came to mind to me was like Disneyland in Anaheim, where you have probably a dozen or more Marriott properties all within like a 2-block radius. So you could pretty decently, easily hop around to these. I don't know how the family's gonna feel. I don't know how your significant other's gonna feel about this. But if she's willing to, you know, play along, you can hop from place to place when you're, say, at a place like at a resort like Disneyland. So I think that's a decent way of doing it with, you know, minimal trouble. Yeah. See what the kids think, though.
I've done that once, but it was just me and my significant other, and we did it on a non-park day, and it wasn't that bad, but we also weren't schlepping like 4 checked bags worth of kid stuff and all of that. So different situation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would actually say doing this while you're park hopping is maybe one of the best opportunities to do it, because you're going to be out of the house early.
That's true.
So you're going to check your bags with the concierge or whatever, and then you're generally going to be back relatively late. So you're going to grab your bags, and it'll probably take you an extra 35 minutes to go to one hotel and go to the other one and check in and do all of that. But if you're already going to be, you know, out of the hotel for most of the day, it's not that big of a pain in the butt where you have to deal with that 3 or 4 hour window where you're kind of homeless, for lack of a better term, when you have to check out, but your other room at the new resort isn't quite ready yet. So it's actually kind of an ingenious idea if you don't have 4 check bags, as Josh said. Yeah. And Josh, that's not the only sort of hacks that we have for this. There's also some dual branded properties out there.
Yeah, there's quite a few where it'll be one building, but it'll have 2 brands within. So one might be like one for longer term stays or whatever. It's all still bookable. What you could do is book one night at one of the two brands within the building and then book the second night at the other brand within the building. So you're not physically really having to move luggage. Of course, you still have to move your stuff, but it's not transiting between hotels and physical locations. So an easy way to still stay at kind of the same property and at least kind of pseudo earn that double EQN in a way if you're only doing 2 one-night stays. So it'd be worth taking advantage of if the price is similar.
Yeah. And, well, I was going to say I would almost just go back and forth, but I was reminded in my head that you can only earn the bonus once per property. Otherwise, 2,500 bonus points per night is nothing to take a shake at. Nothing to shake a stick at. There we go.
Yeah, some common ones that I see are like Fairfields and Town Place and Residence Inn and Courtyard.
Yep.
And I think I've actually stayed at an Aloft and Element dual branded hotel. So that's kind of ones to look out for. Those types of brands, and they're usually always priced within, $20 of each other, I find. So should be pretty easy to do.
Yeah. One thing to keep in mind is if you are going to have a longer stay and you've got that dual branded property, I know for sure that Town Place Suites earns 10 Marriott points for every dollar, and there's a Residence Inn which only earn 5 points per dollar. So if you're going to check into one and then check into the other for a longer period of time, you would check into the Residence first, which only earns 5 points per dollar, and then check in for a longer time to the Town Place, which is going to be a basically double return on your spending there. So if you're playing some games, make sure you fully understand the rules before you roll the dice. The last little hack we have to maximize this promo is the Stay Vancouver promotion can be stacked with this, and it's going until April 30th. So you're still going to have about 5 weeks from the time that this episode publishes to take advantage. If you stay 2 nights, there's up to a $250 prepaid MasterCard gift card. If you stay 4 nights, you can get up to a $500 prepaid MasterCard gift card. Now, the top end of those hotels that give you the most expensive or the most valuable gift cards are going to be very expensive hotels themselves. So it's not going to be cheap elite qualifying nights. However, it is a nice way to knock some of the cost off. And, maybe there's some justification you can make in your own head, but we're talking like really luxury properties like the JW Park Marriott, which you're looking at minimum $400 a night for that property. So not going to be cheap EQNs like we've seen with the Stay Edmonton promotion in past years. Now, on top of the new and controversial promo, and also the huge welcome offers on the Canadian cards, it's worth talking about kind of the state of Marriott Bonvoy and where things are with the program currently, because there have been, among many other devaluations, a lot of very recent devaluations that are constantly in the news, and it seems like the term Bonvoy is more relevant than ever because we're just getting little drips of devaluation, a little bit at a time. And a few examples of those would be like new brands that are entering, like Protea hotels that are mainly in Africa. You only earn 1/2 of an elite night for every night that you spend. So it's like, okay, that's an interesting way. And if that's the way that new brands are entering, are we going to see other, economical brands also have 0.5 elite nights, or other brands are only earning 4 Marriott Bonvoy points per dollar? Like, you couldn't afford 5 Marriott Bonvoy points per dollar. We've got to have 4 Marriott Bonvoy points per dollar. So those are just a few examples. But Jeff, as a fellow Masai Mara visitor, we've seen huge increases in the number of points required to book some of these really top-end properties as well. Yeah,
it was about a year ago now where Masai Mara just doubled in price overnight. It was already really expensive to begin with. One of the most expensive Marriott Bonvoy properties to make a redemption at. And then it doubled from there, which is crazy to think about. I'm so glad I went when I did. I know you feel the same, Danny. And but that's just one of the examples. And Masai Mara is not the only example. A lot of the properties in Maldives got hit hard. Bora Bora got hit hard. So like the really, really top end properties in the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio have really taken a drubbing the past couple of years in terms of redemption value.
Yeah, and if you don't know, Masai Mara is almost 1 million points now for a 5 night stay, including the fifth night free. We're looking at quite often 250K per night. And then maybe you'll find something a little bit less than that or last minute cancellations, that kind of thing. But that property used to be like I booked it for 452, and that was even expensive.
Yeah.
I know people that booked it for just about 400,000 points for 5 night stays in the past. But Josh, 85K certificates, what's supposed to be kind of the top end Marriott certificate that you can book almost anything. It's definitely not a book almost anything redemption anymore.
No, the 85K certificates almost seem to be like a middle to upper redemption at this point. Definitely not the truly aspirational, which there's still to be said. There's still some good value there, nothing wrong with that, but it's a far cry compared to what we see with, for example, like the Hilton Honors free nights with that program, where outside of a very small exclusion list, you can use them anywhere that you can find standard award availability. So still some value, but you kind of have to know what you're getting into with those free night certificates. And similarly, when we see free night certificate offers on some of the cards in the United States, like you might see 50 time or 50K free nights on the Marriott Bonvoy Business with American Express US. That sounds like a really good offer on paper. And if you know a property that you're going to use those at, it is a good offer, frankly. There's a ton of value to be had there. But I've read so many times and heard from people, they sign up for this card and then they're stuck with 50K free nights and they don't know where they're going to use them, because it can be hard to use these free nights. And like both of you just mentioned, pricing changes all the time, right? You can have a plan applying for a card saying, hey, I want to go for this trip in May of 2027. Who knows if the pricing is going to be within that bracket a year down the road? We can't predict. So still a ton of value with those 85K certs. And keep in mind, as of today, you can still top them up with an additional 15,000 Bonvoy points to make it a nice round 100,000, which, gives you a few more options provided you have the points. But even those 35,000 point free night certs on the Bonvoy cards in Canada, there's still some great value. I have had a lot of success even just using them in North America, maybe with a little bit of points here and there. But they usually do require a top up. I'm finding more and more it's harder for me to just redeem one of those outright without requiring a little bit of extra points. So it's just something to be aware of as you're earning those free nights, that they're not becoming easier to use, and have a plan.
Yeah, definitely not becoming easier. One of the things that we've heard a rumor about, and specifically want to quote that this is a rumor and not something that's for sure going to happen. Maybe if Jeff predicts this, then it definitely won't come true. Is that we might see an increase into the 25K level, that you can top up a free night certificate with 25,000 points. So a 35K free night cert could be used at a hotel that costs 60,000 points at a maximum, and 85K certs could be used at a hotel that costs 110,000 points maximum. So add a little bit more flexibility, because it's really annoying, when you're looking at something that's priced at 51,000 points and you're trying to use your free night certificate. It's like, oh my gosh, come on. That could be a good use of some tools like Max My Point or some other hotel alerts, where if you're looking to use a free night cert and you want to get an alert when the price goes down, those are some excellent times to use those tools right now. And if that ever comes true with the 25,000 point top up, the same will ring true then. So while we're not going to specifically talk about those tools today, hotel award alerts are definitely something to have in your back pocket and save you a bunch of time going forward. I guess a few more things to mention about, kind of what's going on with Marriott Bonvoy that we should talk about is just an overall lack of care from Marriott Bonvoy about their elites, like not enforcing elite guarantees. So at certain brands, you are guaranteed that you will get these certain benefits. And we've seen hotels, particularly Hong Kong, an example, or excuse me, not Hong Kong, in Macau. There's the St. Regis there, I believe, that is just not giving elite benefits. And Marriott's not doing anything about it, and this hotel is just going out on their own, going rogue. So that's definitely not a good sign of the program, considering they don't own their own hotels, and there's a lot of brand deals that take place. You're going to get a little bit of that, but you would like to see Marriott Bonvoy kind of stomp down on that. But we've also seen just an erosion of benefits in North America. Like when I stayed at the Metropolitan Hotel, which we have a review of that Andy did in Vancouver, they had a free continental breakfast, and then if you wanted a hot breakfast, you could pay $7 to upgrade to it. Now, ultimately, if that's what's required to have a good hot breakfast, am I going to complain about paying $7? No, but it would be nice to have some consistency rather than see this sort of make up your mind however you want to deliver the benefits and Marriott's not going to do anything about it sort of deal. So with all of those devaluations, that kind of begs the question, what is Marriott still good for, and how do we use the program as 10% hardcore maximizers? Or maybe we're 1% hardcore maximizers as hosts of the pod. Jeff, I'll have you go first to describe how you use the program as one of the best point maximizing machines in the Great White North.
Yeah, I think you guys will agree with this. The program is not good in North America, just in general. I find staying at Marriott's, whether you're staying with on points or cash, it's usually not a great experience. A lot of the properties are old. They don't seem to really care about elites just because there's so many elites in North America. So that's kind of understandable. And as a result, the benefits are just not there. So when I travel, I just try to leave North America. The further away you can get from North America, the better the situation is. And I'm talking about the Middle East. Europe's okay. Although I even consider Europe a little bit hit and miss. But Southeast Asia, Japan, China, those sorts of places are still wonderful. Like Marriott Bonvoys in those regions are still fantastic. Especially if you're staying at a luxury property, you're going to get amazing elite treatment. The breakfast spreads are unbelievable. They don't even compare to what you get in North America. So that's just what I do now. I just leave North America if I'm doing a vacation and I'm going to be using Marriott Bonvoy points or certificates. That's something else. Certificates are usually a little bit more valuable in some countries and some regions. So those are the types of the places I target. I'm sure you guys kind of feel the same.
Yeah.
Josh, share your thoughts.
For sure. It's a similar approach. I do redeem the odd free night in Canada, just if I don't have an international trip that lines up. I'm guilty of using a free night at the JW Marriott here in Edmonton just for a night out when we go see a hockey game or something like that. It's an easy way to burn it. Nice night out that's not at home. Similar like the Dorian, Calgary, if I'm in Calgary, not a bad redemption there. But I'm kind of the same as Jeff. I find more and more my value comes from Southeast Asia, redemptions over there. And I can't understate it. I mean, Jeff already sold it, but they just don't. There's not as many elites. It's not as easy to be minted as a elite over there through credit cards and other benefits. So when you do stay at those properties, like Jeff alluded to, especially those higher end, you really get the value that you put into the program, which is just tough to get in North America. So I think there's a ton of value. I will still always collect Marriott points. So there'll never be a point that I'm not collecting Marriott points to a degree. But I think it's not as easy and doesn't make as much sense as it once did in redeeming it kind of in your own backyard, maybe is the best way to put it.
Yeah, sure. I think for me, maximizing Marriott, I've almost viewed them more as a collection partner than a redemption partner. And what I mean by that is it's a great way to collect a bunch of points that are understatedly pretty flexible. And what I mean by that is, as a titanium elite, staying so many nights per year, I generally collect about 150,000 points a year between work stays, spending on the credit card, getting basically 23 and a half with 6 Marriott Bonvoy points per dollar on the credit card, and then 17 and a half points on the room rate and incidentals. I'm collecting almost 200,000 Marriott Bonvoy points a year just from staying at the properties. And granted, very lucky for me having other people kind of foot the bill for that. I'm using my points to top up free night certificates here and there, using some cheap nights here and there in North America, but then also kind of an underrated benefit and a deal that I've talked about a ton on the show already is transferring Marriott Bonvoy points to Alaska Mileage Plan, or Atmos Rewards Program, the new name for it, to book porter flights. I actually did this for a family member recently who booked a wonderful Qatar Airways flight out of Toronto and needed to get to Toronto from Winnipeg. Marriott Bonvoy points transferred 60,000 Bonvoy over to Atmos Rewards and booked Porter Reserve from Winnipeg to Toronto for 10,000 Atmos Rewards points per seat, and I think it was like $36. So that seat would have normally retailed for like $500 to $600. So getting almost 4 cents, a little bit more than 4 cents per Marriott Bonvoy or per Alaska mile, and thereby like 1.5 cents per Marriott Bonvoy point. If you're not going to use them for travel to Southeast Asia, you can collect a lot of Marriott Bonvoy points staying by cash and then redeeming them for, whatever airline you might need them for. So a little bit of a different approach compared to everybody else. And if you're not traveling to Southeast Asia, maybe a great way to use your Marriott Bonvoy points. So now the next question begs, if we're still trying to maximize the program, but there've been a whole bunch of devaluations, Jeff, where do you think you see this brand going in the future, particularly the Marriott Bonvoy loyalty brand? And will Marriott Bonvoy be a part of your travel portfolio going forward?
Yeah, so I have a bit of a doomer prediction here. We've seen just about every airline in North America go revenue-based. I think if there's a hotel program that were to do that, I think it's going to be Marriott, and I think they will be the first to do it if they decide to go that route. I don't think there's really anything stopping them from doing it at this point, because it's actually pretty easy at this point to get to titanium status with a really low spend amount. I think I did it with $3,000 US last year, and they want $24,000 for their ambassador status, I think it is now. So the fact that I did it with $3,000 in spend is probably not ideal in their eyes. So I wouldn't be surprised if there some sort of spend element was added to status at some point. Maybe not going fully revenue based, but maybe there might be a component added to platinum and titanium. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, though. All that said, Marriott's still the only hotel program available in Canada, so it's like the default option for us. So it's as long as it has a presence in Canada, we don't really have a choice. We're going to have to just go with whatever they have available to us. So I think there's still a lot of value there. The 35K certs, yeah, I mean, they do come in handy. No matter how much we don't like how they always require top up, they still have a lot of value. The other thing I really value is that there's just Marriott's everywhere.
Yeah.
Hyatt and Hilton just cannot compete with what Marriott offers. Sometimes Marriott's the only option, so that's where we end up staying, and I think that's a really big strength of the program. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, as long as they're around in Canada, we don't really have a choice, and I'm gonna participate.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that if you're a Canadian involved in miles and points, you should be paying attention to Marriott Bonvoy. I know we ran through our list of things that have changed in recent times that make it maybe a bit more difficult to redeem or a bit more difficult to get value. But that list is not us saying there's no value. There's 100% still value in this program. Jeff hit on it right at the end and took the words out of my mouth, which the footprint is really just such a major part of this program. Is when I'm traveling somewhere, that's usually what I look at first, is what Marriotts are in the area. And then there might be a couple Hiltons, maybe a couple Hyatts. It really depends. But if you're going to find a big hotel chain somewhere, it's probably Marriott Bonvoy. So there's a lot to be said for that. I'm getting really close to Platinum Lifetime. and probably will hit it next year. So it's obviously still on my radar now. If it'll drop off a bit once I don't have that carrot to chase every year, to be determined at that point. And hopefully if they do shift to a revenue focused or revenue based, that I am exempt from that if I have lifetime. But for what it's worth, Hilton is kind of more of my main program now. And obviously anyone who's involved in US cards knows there's a lot of value there, but it's not a program without its own issues and devaluations as well. And as we saw with World of Hyatt, similar, it's not a program without its own issues and devaluations lately too. So there's not really a great unicorn program anymore, but I'll keep using Marriott Bonvoy. It'll probably be for stuff outside of North America. Still chase status with the help of credit cards, but it's definitely not the golden child it maybe was 5 years ago.
Yeah, no, agree on basically everything you guys have said. I think my personal thoughts on where the brand is going to go, I think as more brands get added, we are going to see a similar devaluation of Marriott Bonvoy points for those specific brands. And then, over time, it's just going to get a little chipped away and eroded. Marriott Bonvoy, since they merged with Starwood in 2018, has just slowly made the points less and less valuable. And they know that they're one of the biggest loyalty programs used by business travelers and casual travelers across the world. So they can't just overnight slash everything. Otherwise, they're gonna lose everybody to their competitors. So I think as more brands get added, we're going to see the continuation of bad value for points. Like one thing that I was really surprised by when I did a deep dive into the Marriott Bonvoy's outdoor collection is that Marriott Bonvoy points used at those properties are like half a cent or less compared to the cash rate. So why that would happen doesn't make a whole lot of sense, other than the fact that they want brands to be worth less going forward. And the way you do that is just by when you add a new one, their points are worth less. You can't really chip away at the legacy brands right away. Will this be a part of my travel portfolio going forward? Yeah, you know what? The 35K free nights, until it gets to a point, let me try and do some quick math on this. 35,000 point free night certificate, buying it for $120 annual fee, until it gets to a point where Marriott Bonvoy points are worth 1/3 of a cent. That's the only point where I might say, okay, I'm not going to pay my annual fee anymore. It's not worth it to quote unquote buy this 35K free night certificate. And we're still quite a ways away from that. We would have to see, a slash in half their value or more. My parents actually have 3 Marriott Bonvoy cards each in Canada because they accidentally applied for the personal one twice when I instructed them to apply for the business card, and MX Canada didn't take it away. So they've got 6 free night certificates to use for their own personal travels. So my P3 and P4 are significantly entrenched in the Marriott Bonvoy ecosystem going forward, and I will be as well, just because they do have that huge footprint and the points are not as valuable, but they're still worth something. And they still have the ability to transfer to airlines, which, as I will continue to beat until the Atmos Rewards award chart changes, is a fantastic value for your Marriott Bonvoy points. So that pretty much does it for this episode of Miles Ahead. We thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any questions about the topics that we discussed, please feel free to leave a comment on whichever medium you're listening to the show on. Or if you're on YouTube, please remember to give us a like. Any feedback that you have can be dropped at FrugalFlyer.ca/podcast in our question form. Or if you have a question that you'd like us to answer on air, you can throw it in there as well. Thank you very much for showing up and listening to us ramble on about Marriott Bonvoy, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye, everybody.